Developing Evaluation Instruments to Improve Your Instructional Design, Part 5, Usability Protocols. Aloha, I'm Dr. Catherine P. Fulford, Professor of Learning Design and Technology at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I'd like to provide a special thanks to all those faculty who contributed content. And another thanks to Mike Saunderson, my video editor. This is a 5-part video series with Part 1, Questionnaires and Surveys, Part 2, Pre- and Post-Test, Part 3, Interviews and Focus Groups, Part 4, Observations and Field Notes, and Part 5, Usability Protocols. This is Part 5, Usability Protocols. Let's get started. There are 5 usability components. Learnability, that is, how easy is it to accomplish a task? Efficiency, how quickly is it to perform a task? Memorability, how easy it is to reestablish proficiency of use again later. Errors, how frequent and serious are any errors? And satisfaction, is it pleasant to use? There are several usability methods. First, think aloud, where participants express their thoughts while they're completing set task. A remote test, an activity is observed remotely or recorded by subsequent viewing for the researcher. You could do focus groups, that's a discussion with a group of users. Interviews, users interviewed about their experience. Or a cognitive walkthrough. This is a team of evaluators or designers where they work through the prototype. There are pros and cons to all of these methods. With the Think Aloud, it's less expensive and it's closer to the user experience. However, it's not a natural environment. For a remote test, there's efficiency, effectiveness, and satisfaction covered, but additional software is needed to observe at a distance. For the focus group, there are lots of ideas, but it may not be a natural environment and it may be inaccurate. You can do interviews, you get a lot of good detailed information, but it does not address efficiency. Also, there's the cognitive walkthrough. It's good at refining your product, but it does not address user satisfaction, and the designer is not an average user. Synchronous usability protocol steps. First is the lab setup. You need a device to record audio and screen capture. Before the study, introduce the study and explain what you want them to do. Give examples and ensure them that you are testing the product and not them. And invite them to be open. Let them know that they can ask questions, but the moderator may not answer. This is during the study. Sit behind the participant, be neutral, keep comments and body language to a minimum. Use subtle acknowledgments. After the study, ask for final comments or questions. Thank them. Check the recordings after the participant is gone. Write notes on observations, unexpected results, etc. You also need to make a usability test plan. It would include your test objectives, methodology, your user profile, your task list, your test environment, and your equipment. The role of the researcher. Be a good listener. Build rapport. Be flexible and open to changes in your plan. Maintain a long attention span. Do not lead the participant. They need to find the answers themselves. Do not act too knowledgeable. Do not jump to conclusions. Usability testing instruments. Screening questionnaire. This includes criteria and demographics. Your orientation script ensures that all participants receive the same information. It ensures that all points are addressed. The consent form is where you get their permission to participate. It also gives you permission to record both audio and video. Your task scenarios are the tasks for the participants to do during the test. These need to be realistic tasks that are motivating to perform. And they need to be written in a way that does not cue the participant to what you're trying to find out. Debriefing script or post-survey. Gather conclusions and recommendations. Gather feelings and preferences. Use probing questions. And ask anything else to help you answer the objectives. Orientation briefing items. Welcome them and say thank you for taking your time. Explain the basic structure of the session, such as there are some background questions, then a series of tasks, then follow-up questions. Explain your think aloud instructions. Tell them that all comments are important, both good and bad. If they ask for clarification, be neutral. Remind the participants that you're testing the product, not them. Tell them to complete the task as realistically as possible, and it's okay if they cannot complete a task. Remind them that you will be recording their audio and/or screen with their permission. Let them know how much time you expect the session to take. Ask if they have any questions. Here are some tips for moderating a usability test. Respect the participants' rights. Ensure physical and emotional comfort. Make a connection with them. Try to minimize interruptions. And be unbiased. Watch for signs of extreme frustration. Move on if this happens, and make a note. Do not give away information inadvertently. Give assist when needed. Keep notes if you do. Listen and make good listening sounds. Good, okay, all right. For your background questionnaire, here are some example questions you might ask before beginning the task. What would someone do with? What is expected with such a feature? How does it work? What are the most important things you would want to do with? Choosing useful usability tasks. You should choose tasks that are typically performed, frequently performed tasks, and those critical to operation. Tips for facilitating usability tasks. Do not use words that are in the product. If testing a module, don't use the word module. Watch out for dependencies between tasks, that is, where one task relies on another to be able to complete it. Don't forget to test important tasks. At the end, ask how do you feel about doing this task to gather an overall sense of their experience. Tips for task questions. What key pieces of information will people need to find? Write a task for each. Test the top 10 things users need to get from a site. Use different questions for different target groups, though choose core questions for all groups, so 60 to 70%. Use common vocabulary and audience vocabulary level, but avoid terms used for hot links and buttons. Use realistic scenarios. For example, don't say, "Can you find the campus parking map?" but rather, "You're planning to go to campus. How would you find where you should park?" Example of quality usability questions. Here's one that's poor. Rate the degree to which this software has no performance problems. Better. How would you rate the performance on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 equals very bad performance, 2 equals bad performance, 3 equals neither good nor bad performance, 4 equals good performance, 5 equals very good performance. Here's another. This one's poor. Are you interested in using this next year? Better would be, what are your thoughts on using this? At the end, you want to debrief the participants and ask them to do a post-survey. You want to ask them to rate their experiences, such as effectiveness, efficiency, satisfaction, ease of use, value, etc. You also want them to answer some open-ended questions, their overall experiences, things that they like the most and the least. Once your participant leaves, you want to use a problem severity scale to discover what were those critical problems, major problems that are important to fix immediately. What are major problems that are high priority to fix? What are minor problems that are low priority? What are normal problems, cosmetic problems only, and that you fix if you have time? Aloha and mahalo. If you haven't watched all 5 parts of the series, you may also be interested in developing evaluation instruments to improve your instructional design, Part 1, questionnaires and surveys, as well as Part 3, interviews and focus groups. These are relevant to usability studies as well. You may also want to search YouTube for Catherine Fulford. You can see other videos on instructional design.